Hotels. If you ever traveled before, you've at least stayed in a hotel before. Um, and there's different types of hotels. There's like motels, which is a little bit different from hotels. Those are the places where you can usually enter from the outside. Like if you go into the room, like from the outside to the inside, that's usually a motel. They're usually smaller. They might have one or two floors, and that's it. Then you have like lower grade hotels. Those are hotels that usually also have like one or two floors. Like those are like Days Inn, Quality Inn, um, what else? Super Eights. Those are all like lower quality hotels. They're still, they can still be good, but those are usually smaller hotels. Then you have like the 3-star hotels. Those are your Hilton Garden Inns, your some of your Hiltons, Homewood Suites, your Holiday Inns, your I'm trying to think what Marriott one. Residence, I think Residence Inns, um, Embassy Suites is still technically a 3-star. Then you have like the fancy ones. Those are some of your Hiltons. I don't know what the Marriott equivalent of that is. Um, those are the ones that are like 4 or 5. Those are the ones that the rich people stay at, right? But I worked in the hotel industry for about 4.5 years, um, and I worked at mainly 3-star hotels, and I worked at Hilton specifically. Um, so really, I'm just here to talk about my experience when it comes to that, um, and how crazy some of those experiences can be. If you want to see what I'm talking about as far as like a crazy experience I have videotaped, stick to the end of the video because I think I'll put it at the end of this video. But anyway, I'm here to give y'all some advice first. And one of the things I would say about the hotel industry is a lot of hotels are not clean. I know sometimes you might have a relative or a crazy person that be like, oh, the hotels they don't really clean that good. And, you might have somebody that brings their own sheets or brings their own cleaning supplies. That person is right because a lot of hotels are not that clean. Now, my very first hotel I worked at was the exception to that rule. And like I said, because I worked at that hotel was probably the best hotel I've ever worked at. And because of that, it kind of set me up when I worked at other hotels later because I thought that was the standard. Come to find out, no, that was the exception. And all the other hotels I worked at were the standard. So the first hotel I worked at, they were very clean because the housekeeping general manager, she was, hey, I seen her go behind people because I remember I helped open that hotel up and I seen how she went behind people when the hotel was opening and how she went behind and cleaned. So she was very clean, and even the guests would always talk about how it was always very clean and stuff like. So that was the hotel that was the exception. Most of these hotels though are not that clean, and especially because I worked mainly, I would say in the hotel industry, I worked mainly front desk, but there were 2 hotels I worked at where I worked housekeeping. And the last hotel I worked at was Embassy Suites, and that hotel was not clean. Before I even talk about that, I worked at a Homewood when I was in Ohio, and that was also one of the first hotels I worked at when I lived back at home. But when I was in Ohio, I worked in the Homewood, and it wasn't as clean as I thought it would be. It wasn't as clean as the Homewood I worked at originally. So I was like, oh, this sometimes kind of clean, kind of not clean. I remember because my aunt, she travels and stays at the hotel. I remember telling her, but like my mom was like, oh, she's coming up there. And I was like, well, don't stay at this Homewood because it's not as clean. She was like, oh, well, she said she stayed before. It's kind of clean. I was like, yeah, I said, you got like 1 or 2 housekeepers that aren't really clean. But for the most part, it is. But some people aren't clean, right? When I worked at this Embassy Suites, it made that hotel look like a joke. When I say that hotel at the Embassy Suites was not clean, it was disgusting. Like, I started working as a housekeeper there first before I switched to being a houseman. So when I started working at housekeeping, I'm learning from different housekeepers. Let me tell you how disgusting that place is. First of all, some of the housekeepers wouldn't even change the sheets on the bed. Like, if you came in the room, because most of the time when you change the housekeeping sheets, you're supposed to come in the room, you're supposed to take the sheets off and put new sheets and covers and everything on it. If some of the housekeepers, if it didn't look like you slept in the bed, or even if you did, you can tell they kind of slept in the bed, but the bed was neat enough. You know what they would do? They would take the sheets and just put it back and fold it over. And like I said, if it looked like you didn't even sleep in the bed, they definitely didn't change the sheets. And I was just like, oh. And it wasn't every housekeeper, but it was like a good half the people would do that. Another thing which was diabolical is they would use the same cleaning rag for the toilet, the bathroom, and the sink. That joint, I remember, I was like, bro, that is wild. Because the first housekeeper, I was just like, oh, maybe it's just her. But then I had two other housekeepers and they did the same thing. But then when I learned from somebody else, she was the first one that didn't. She had a separate rag for each. I was like, okay, good. Because I was just like, bro, is everybody doing this? Because I was like, I couldn't. When I first started, after I went through my training period, I couldn't. I had to have a separate rack for the toilet and then for the tub and the sink because I was like, nah, I cannot. Because you have the scrubby brush you do for the toilet, but for the rag and the sink, I was just like, nah, bro, I gotta have a separate washcloth. A separate cleaning cloth because I was like, that's disgusting. So I would say a good half of the housekeepers, maybe not half, maybe 40% use the same rag for the toilet, the sink, and the tub. And I was like, bro, that's crazy. And then even when it came to the shower, we some of the stuff we didn't even use. They didn't use cleaning solution. When they would wipe the sink, a lot of times they wouldn't even use cleaning solution for the stuff. Most of the time they would only use it for the bathtub and the toilet, right? And I might explain why they did this afterwards, later on when I talk about things I learned in the hotel. But yeah, and even then, when it came to the showers, a lot of times we just have a mop and we spray the mop and then we kind of basically Swiffer the shower. So that person that's bringing in because I know my mom was that person that would always bring her own sheets and spray down the stuff. And before I worked at the Homewood and that hotel, I was like, man, that's crazy. The hotel we worked at, they're clean. But now I'm looking at her, I'm like, yeah, make sure you do that. Because I remember when I started staying in hotels in Ohio, I would at least take Lysol and spray down the sheets and stuff. I'm like, nah, you don't know. Now I very much are like, yeah, I understand why she brings the whole sheets and everything. Because I'm just like, nah. Because even when housekeeping, laundry, they do the sheets and they clean it. We as housemen, we'd had carts. When I was a houseman, we have carts. And guess what? When we have those carts, we put the trash in those carts. And those are the same carts that we would put clean sheets and pillowcases and stuff in and give it to the housekeeping. So if the housekeeping didn't have put it on their own carts, we put it in our carts because sometimes they run out. And so it's just now granted, me, I would lay a towel at the bottom so it wouldn't be super disgusting, but still, I'm just bruh, just seeing how, I said, I would help out in laundry, seeing how other housekeepers, because when I was a houseman, when you're a houseman, you go and basically kind of strip the rooms because the hotels are really big, so you would strip the rooms before the housekeeping come and do the rest of them. But yeah, no, I say all that to say, definitely 100%. Not all hotels are clean, so spray down the sheets and stuff with Lysol. Be careful, like I said, maybe spray down the bathtub or the sink because you just don't know. People are dirty and disgusting. That's not to the point where, and I understand sometimes you don't want to be oh, it's unclean. I have to. That's why I just pray. I just be like, Lord Jesus, please remove any impurities. Thank you. Help me not to get sick or disgusting because I'm just bruh. But yeah, no, not all hotels are clean. So that's the first thing I learned. So just letting you know, no hotels are clean. The second thing is don't book third parties if you can. If you are going to book third parties, only do it if you're going to stay at the hotel for a day or two. Because I'm just gonna be real with you. A lot of like I said, working at front desk, they'll give you, especially if the hotel's busy, they'll give you the worst rooms if you book third party. That's just the way it is. When we work at the hotel, we much rather we put people that either booked with us, obviously that were members of whatever hotel you worked at. So for Hilton, we had gold, diamond, silver, and blue. And so obviously we're going to put those people first, and the higher the membership you are, the more better room pick you have. But especially if you're booking third party, yeah, you will get the leftover rooms. And the way we would have the system where we have to assign the rooms, literally we would assign third party rooms last. So you do get the leftover rooms when it comes to everything. So don't book third party if you can. If you aren't part of a membership of whatever hotel, at least try to call them yourselves and book the rooms yourselves so you can you know, and you can tell them your preference, like, oh, I don't want a room that's facing the highway, or I want this or whatever, because I'm telling you, if you get third party, I ain't gonna hold you. When I was part of the third desk, I used to every time I see a third party, I'm like, ugh, third party, yeah. That's how I used to feel, and that's how a lot of front desks are like, third party, ugh. So if the hotel's oversold, guess what? They giving away your room if it's oversold, and I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes they'll give it away and be like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know what about the company. They booked it and blah blah blah, and maybe you gotta call them. Now, I did have one time where somehow third party system did overbook everything in our system, and our manager had to basically call them and like cancel everything because we had a whole group. It was crazy, but I was just like, yeah, no, just don't book third party if you can, and if you do book third party, only do it for 1 or 2 days, because we can't really change anything in the system. Like if you don't plan to stay like more than like a couple of days, because people will be like, oh, I want to extend my stay. Well, now you got to make a whole new reservation, because we can't mess with third party reservations. Like, at least for Hilton, we couldn't mess with third party reservations. So if you booked it and you're like, oh, I want to add another day, well, now you're gonna have to make a whole nother reservation. That's just more work for us and it's frustrating for you. And it's just, if you call the hotel and book it, you're like, oh, I want to extend another stay. And the way the system works, I'm like, okay, cool. I can just add another thing, and it's easy. So, yeah, don't book third party if you can. And the second thing is, which is kind of obvious, but like you still have to remind people. I mean, not second thing. The third thing is, which is kind of obvious, but you still have to remind people. If you're nice to the hotel staff, you'll probably be able to get whatever you want as far as requests go, because like, a lot of times people come in a hotel and they think they have the power, but I'm going to just tell you right now, it's an illusion. Y'all really don't have power, because especially if the hotel is franchised, that means it's private property. So that means the front desk or whoever can kick you out for whatever reason. Because I remember we had a guest, they were being irate and something, and called the cops. The cops was like, oh, what's going on? So they're not going to serve me, blah, blah, blah. And they told me to leave, and the cop was like, well, you got to go. I said, this is private property. This is franchise, it's private property. So if they don't want you on this property for whatever reason, you got to go. So I'm just letting y'all know, like, I know you'll be like, oh, I'm a diamond, I'm a gold member, I'm this, I'm that, or whatever. But I'm just like, listen, if you annoy the front desk enough, they can kick you out for whatever reason, especially, like I said, franchise hotel. So you really don't have power like you think you do. You know, like, yeah, some of y'all might do, because depending on the business or whatever, and if you're going there, yeah, you have a little bit more power than the average person. But a lot of times people come in there super entitled, and they're like, oh, you're going to do this for me, you're going to do this. I'm like, bruh, you don't got no power here. I got the power here. I decide whether I want to keep you in or kick you out. Because there's a ton of time I've turned people away because we didn't take cash. I'm like, nah, you want cash? Nah, we can't do anything. See you, bye, get out of here. So be nice to the front desk people, because the nicer you are, especially if you call, you ask how they're doing. I'm telling you, at least for me, when people were nice, I wanted to do stuff for them. When they were like, oh, can you give me, a room that's connected to, we're a family. Can you give us rooms that are right next to each other? Oh, yeah. When you're super nice, or when you come in, be like, hey, you look nice today, blah, blah, conversation. Hey, I was just wondering if you had any, good restaurant recommendations. Oh, yeah. Or, oh, I was wondering if they extend the stay. And so, sometimes if you extend the stay, you're supposed to give whatever the price is for that day. But if you were nice to me, right, then I'm going to say you booked at a hotel at $139. Now, normally if you extend the stay, it's supposed to be an extra $179. But because you were nice to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep it at $139. Like, there's a lot of times where like our bosses tell us to do stuff, and sometimes we have to do certain things, and it's like, well, this person was nice to me, so I'm a help him out. That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, if you're just nice to the front desk, things are good for you. You want to get some water and some snack? Cool. There's been times where I've let people, they're like, oh, I don't got any money to pay for this. Oh, okay. Well, you nice. You're good. I got a tab or whatever. They'll, like, I remember there's one time we had a group, and this woman, she was really cool. She would come down and talk to us, and she wanted to get into the pool around like 11, 12 o'clock. I can't remember. And the pool closed down around 10. And I just let her in because she was cool. There was tons of times where I stayed at a hotel and like I let people in because they're cool. I remember when there was this 21-year-old, and I think you could stay in a hotel when you're 21, but I couldn't remember if like there at the time you couldn't, because I'm not sure if that was a rule or not. But basically, he was like, I really want to stay here. I try to stay at the Best Western, and because that's where my family's at or whatever. But there was no room. Can I stay here? And I let him stay here. A lot of times, like you said, you're not supposed to take cash. I would let certain people come in, and I would take cash because they were really nice and they were really cool and they were really respectful. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're just nice to people, like, it helps. Instead of coming in having an attitude, being mad at whatever's going on, you're less likely to get help. Like, you'll get the minimum amount of help. But, like, I remember when I worked at the Embassy Suites, there was a guy and he needed hangers. And there's already 10 hangers in the room, so they needed more hangers. So I bought him 5. And immediately when I got the hangers, as soon as I knocked on the door, gave him the hangers, he was like, "That's all the hangers you got?" Immediately my whole attitude went from friendly to, all right, I'm not helping this dude. And I was like, yep, that's all the hangers we have. He was like, ugh, you don't got no hangers? Oh, this big old hotel and you don't got no more hangers? And I'm just like, nope, sorry, we don't have any more. We did have more hangers. But the thing is, because you were a jerk to me, now I'm not going to give you any. But I didn't tell him that. So his wife was like, oh, let's just go to Target and get some more hangers. And that's what I'm thinking to myself. I was like, well, if you knew you need a bunch of hangers, why did you not come with a bunch of hangers? But see, had he been nice, I probably would have got him some more. But because he was a jerk, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. That's what I'm saying. Like, just be nice to people because you don't know. So there's that. And so the other thing I learned about working in hotels, like what I learned when you're working at a hotel, for example, because I work front desk a lot. One thing you definitely want to do is be friends with or be cool with the housekeeping people, because you're going to be communicating with them a lot when it comes to people checking out late, checking out period. Like housekeeping and front desk got to be able to work together, bro. Like, y'all, we can't just be separated, because if that's the case, it's going to be a lot harder for your job. So, yeah, definitely if you work front desk or housekeeping, like, y'all got to be cool. Like, if you're working front desk, be cool with the housekeeping. And if you're, like, the front desk, like I was saying, like manager or people or whatever, y'all communicate with the front desk the most. So, you definitely, like, want to be cool with, like, the front desk and housekeeping. Other thing is, if you work front desk, be cool with the people that make food, because you can get free food, and that's great. So make sure you're like friends with them. I remember like when I worked at Hilton Garden Inn and they had breakfast, and normally you had to pay for breakfast, but because I was cool with all the cooks and the not cooks, I think 90% of the cooks and all the waiters, I never had to pay, bro. Like when I became a night audit, I never had to pay for breakfast, because I was just like, hey, they cool with me, bro. So being cool with the people that work at the food area, yeah, you definitely want to do that. Another thing is, yeah, if you're gonna work front desk, you just gotta learn to be able to like not have an attitude, because there's gonna be people that's gonna be mad at you for anything and everything, and it's just the way it is. It's even when it's not your fault. And I would say the biggest thing, and this goes for people, whoever still watching this video, for people that like check in, if you ever get like your room was like overbooked, or like you get to a hotel and they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't have enough room and so you have to stay at this old hotel, don't get mad at the front desk, because they're not the ones that do it. Let me tell you who the true culprit is. Their sales team. The sales team would always overbook. And the sales team overbooks, and then they pretty much leave the front desk to clean up their mess. And I used to hate that as a front desk, because they, like I said, they overbook, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna go home, and then the sales team would leave, and we gotta clean up their mess. And now the guests are mad at us. They coming mad at us, and we gotta tell them, oh, sorry, we have another hotel you gotta go to, blah blah blah. And they're mad. They're like, I'm gonna call corporate and all this stuff. And I used to hate it. So I used to always tell, because they'd be like, do you have a manager? I was like, here's, and I give them like the sales manager or whatever, because I'm like, nah, they overbooked. They the one that's going to deal with this wrath too. It's not just going to be me. So don't get mad at the front desk if your hotel room is overbooked, because I guarantee you it's most like a sales team. Because at least for us, when we worked at the Hilton, we didn't even have the ability to overbook. Like if you try to do it in the system will be like, we have no rooms. You cannot book this room. So you had to be like a manager or a salesperson to even do that, to even override the system to overbook somebody. So unless there was like a glitch in the system that happened, like I said, that one time at the one hotel I worked at. So yeah, that's the one thing. Like, don't be mad at the front desk for that. Be mad at the sales team, because it was most likely them. And another thing I learned, night audit is the best shift. Out of all 3 shifts, out of evening shift, morning shift, night shift is the best shift, because to me, it's a shift. Like if you don't like dealing with people, that's the best shift to work. If you like dealing with people, morning shift and evening shift are both good shifts for different reasons. Because morning shift, you check out the most amount of people, so you'll get deal with the most amount of issues and complaints early throughout the day compared to later on. Like for me, morning shift was from 7 to 3. So from like 7 to basically 10 to 11, you have to deal with a lot of stuff. And then around like 12 to 1, that's when you're putting the rooms in. You don't have to you got to deal with some people that check in early, but not too much. And then around like 2, not really too many people are checking in early depending on like what's going on. And then evening shift, you have to deal with a lot. Like you got to deal with all the check-ins. And then that's when you also got to deal with people making the most requests when it comes to stuff. And they're like, oh, I need extra sheets. I need towels. I need this. What's a good restaurant? So I would say to me, if you're the most sociable type person, evening shift is like the shift for you. If you are really sociable and want to socialize with people, that's the evening shift, because that's a shift that happens the most. So, but yeah, night shift, chillest shift. You barely have. The only thing about night shift is you will be dealing with the crazy people, because night shift for me was like 11 to 7. You'll be dealing with all the crazy folks, because boy, are they you get all kinds of party people that are drunk, wedding parties, regular parties, all kinds of stuff. And you'll see the most crazy stuff too. And you'll probably get hit on. I don't know. I wouldn't say you get hit on the most. I would say I got hit on the most when I was in the evening shift. But you'll still get hit on a lot. Like people will try to do stuff with you. So that's the only thing. It's chill for the most part, except for like maybe Fridays and Saturdays. Them days are ugh. But when I worked on, usually if I did night shift and I worked on like Sunday through Thursday, it was usually pretty chill. It was whatever. So yeah, those are just some things about the hotel industry I wanted to say. If you made it to this far of the video, thanks. I just wanted to say that basically crazy stuff goes down in the hotel industry. So the video that you're about to see that I'm going to post is basically at the end of when I'm done talking, is basically one time our hotel, because I lived in Ohio, the pipes burst and it flooded the whole lobby at like 2 a.m. It was night shift. That's why I said night shift is the craziest shift. The craziest stuff happens at night shift. So yeah, basically it flooded the whole lobby at 2 a.m. I mean, water was spewing out. Like you'll see in the video, which I didn't record, it got worse. Like when I say water was gushing out, it was gushing out like the water. You know how like a waterfall sounds when you're near a waterfall, like like that. It was like that. But yeah, it got worse. The whole lobby was flooded. It was like 2 a.m. All the guests woke up. It was crazy. So yeah, if you stayed this far for the video, that's what you'll get to see at the very end. So thanks for that. Okay, bye. Yeah, something's burning, all right. Gotta pick this from my boss real quick. Welcome to work. We going back. All started with a leak from there. You see it kind of busted. So there's that. It's just flooded here. All this is water. It was all over the lobby. Crazy day at work.